Hello, everybody. You can see I've been working very hard on this latest commission, and I just wanted to bring it down here so you can see that I've been working in this area more. This area here is too bright. This whole thing needs to be pushed back, so I need to add more dots to this area, push it back. That way, when I get to really working on the face, which I started working on it last night, you can see where I've got a lot more blending now going on here. Got some blending in going in here, over here. And so, I'm looking through the camera now, and that needs to be pushed back because this cheek, even though this is a high point of the cheek, this needs to be pulled down and this needs to be pulled in. So we've got some work more to do. So, but you can see the work I'm doing right now today. I'm gonna finish up doing the blacks of this spot here. That way I can work on that while I'm talking to you guys. So, first thing is, I hope that those living in Los Angeles are doing okay. I would never want to go through what they are going through. It's utterly, completely horrific. So, my thoughts and prayers are with them and hoping that they pull through. One thing that I've been wondering, though, is how is this fire with loss of property, how is that going to affect the value of comic books? What I mean by that is, okay, let's take Fantastic Four #1, done by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Okay, now I don't know how many copies are left, but let's say there were at least 100 copies owned by people in the LA area, and they've been burned up. They're gone. Does that raise the value of Fantastic Four #1? Well, that's where reporting comes in. So take that along with, let's say, The Killing Joke. A lot of people, probably a lot of comic book fans, may have the original printing of The Killing Joke. Does The Killing Joke now have, of the original printing, does it now have increased value? I pose that in the hurricane season. I posed that to Dennis, or in Dennis DNA show, and he was said about how comic books are insured, how you have to have a separate policy. You can't actually have it under your homeowner's policy. You have to have a separate policy for insuring your comic books. But that's not, and he's absolutely right about that. But my thing is, though, is that for the average person, okay, I have a copy of The Killing Joke. Okay, let's say there were 200,000 copies printed. Okay, and over the years, from fire and whatnot, 1,000 copies have been destroyed. So, but from fire, flood, whatever. Okay, somebody just accidentally spilled a beer on it or something. You know what I'm saying? So that means that there's less from the original print run. Now you take a look and say maybe there's 10,000 copies that were destroyed because of the fire. Does that mean that now that there's no longer 200,000 in circulation, that there's now only, let's see, 1,980 left? Okay, does that raise the value of that comic book? I'm really curious about that, and it's not. And when I say that, I don't mean that in the sense of, ooh, my Killing Joke could have more value now than it did when I originally bought it as a kid. No, that's not what I mean. I'm just generally curious if, when it comes to pricing comics, this would be something actually. I guess Vaughn, J.C. Vaughn would be the person to address this to. Is when they are calculating the cost of the value of comic books, do they take the reporting of copies that have been destroyed from fires and floods into consideration for when they rate the value of a book. So I'm generally curious. I mean, we all know that original art, yeah, that's gonna, if you original art lost, yeah, you're gonna have the other pages maybe have increased value because now you don't have the ability to do an artist edition of it, regardless of whatever book it was. So I'm generally curious about those things. So, and that's the reason why I try to pose it, but you know how it is when you send a message through a super chat or just a regular chat. Sometimes it's hard to really get the intent of your question out the uh, for the person on the show to answer. So I guess what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to send a personal DM to like JC Vaughn and ask him. So, but so okay, guys. So this is week 2 of Signed Comics of 2025, and we're starting with day 5, Aquaman number 6, signed by Joe Prada and Ivan Reyes. The reason why I wanted to put this one out for you guys to see is because this was a nothing character, and Jeff Johns did the story. Ivan Reyes and Joe Prada, they did the art, and the book was a huge hit. And I would say that's one of that book, along following up with uh, Paul Pellier doing the artwork, is one of the things. And the strength of the book and the strength of the story and art is what led to the Aquaman movie. So, but the reason why I wanted this one signed, why I wanted to show this one, the reason why I got this one signed, as opposed to other issues in the very first of the first, let's say, 10 issues, because this is the one where Aquaman, he's off on one of his adventures. I think he was stuck in the desert, actually. Mira is stuck by herself. And Mira, she doesn't know human society and American society. The only time she's ever been above water is when she's helping Arthur with a crisis, and she's fighting alongside other superheroes. So she's essentially in a bubble, and she doesn't view the world the way other heroes view the world because this is an alien environment to her. And so the fact that she has interactions with the town and with the police that go horribly wrong, but she proves herself in the end. But then also part of it was she comes across this dog and she goes into town to buy the dog food. And the dog, and at the end, the female police officer, they become recurring side characters for the title. And I like that. I have always been a big fan of, well, just when you have like a book on a specific type character, whether it be Aquaman, Superman, Captain America. I'm sorry, eventually I get bored of the main character. And there are many times the reason why I kept picking up a book was because a side character that would only maybe be in maybe like 5 pages in the entire book, but each issue they are in issue 5, they're in like 2 panels, or in issue 8 they're in 8 pages. I mean, it's those side characters make and their interaction with the main character is many times what keeps me going back to the book. I think about uh, the Dragonlance series and the bartender Tika. She essentially was a side character, but I really liked her. So when I was reading the book, it was one of those where it's like whenever they mentioned her, I'm like, oh, let's see what she's gonna be doing. because you get to the point where you're kind of okay, yeah, Rosalind, yeah, I know, you're a tormented soul, and Tannis, yeah, I know, you're half human, half elf. You don't fit in either world. I'm by the by halfway through the book, I'm bored with this whole fight that the character has with who they are, and I'm just like done, bored, move on. And so when you have this character that they don't pay a lot of attention to, they became even more interesting to me. So that was the reason why I wanted to get this issue shown to you guys, was because it not just Mira's uh, interaction and not understanding how things work above water for regular humans, because her only interaction was like Batman and the Justice League and Aquaman, and Aquaman takes lead, and he understands you got to put money in the meter. She doesn't. Okay, so that's the reason why I wanted that issue to be signed for you guys to see that issue. So, day 6 was Atari Force issue number 3. Now I have 1, 2, 3, I think through 6 or 7. I have them all signed. The reason why I wanted this one to be shown is because Packrat was on the cover. Packrat, honest to God, he was my favorite of all the characters in Atari Force. If I had to, if I was given the ability to do a space opera comic book, okay, I guarantee you I'd have my own knockoff character version of Packrat because I found him so interesting and so enjoyable. So, and that has nothing to do, and including that has nothing to do is getting a dig in on Aaron with him not liking Atari Force, and we all tease him about that. It has nothing to do with it. I generally, first of all, it's got Jose's artwork. Okay, I don't really need to follow the story to basically just spend time constantly just flipping through the book, studying, seeing how Jose does his figure work and his perspective, and how he squeezes a character into a panel. I would say how how like we're discovering uh, how Todd McFarlane was asked how does he do Spider-Man. He goes, I create a shape like this and I squeeze Spider-Man in it, and that's how I figure it out. Um, you take a look at how Jose does a lot. It's amazing how sometimes he would contort the characters and the anatomy looks completely correct, but he'd get them squeezed in a very dynamic pose to get them on into the panel. So, I he's a master. So, in fact, the DC Style Guide from 1982, it just came out. Yes, I did get it, and it is extraordinary. I love it, and it's amazing. I'm going through and I'm like, oh wow, that was an image. I've seen this image so much in my so much time. I've always seen this image. I never knew this image came from the Style Guide. So, in fact, if you look on the Big Bang Theory, that superhero T-shirt that Sheldon wears so much, that has Green Arrow and Martian Manhunter and Firestorm and Doctor Fate, that came from the Style Guide. I never knew that until that I was flipping through that book. So, extraordinary book. Uh, get it, guys. Get it. When you're done watching this video, go out and get it. So, um, after that, I got done. We're done with DC. Now we go into Marvel, and the first book in A's for Marvel, even though it's not in alphabetical order, was Alpha Flight Annual number 2. Artwork done by June Brigman, and inks done by Bob McLeod. So again, this is one of those that you look at and go, you had them sign that? Yeah, I really like that one. The reason why is because like what it was is Vindicator gets lost in the Savage World or Savage Land, and she kind of goes through the same thing that Rogue goes through. Her costume isn't as scantily clad as Rogue's is, But in the story, she comes across and befriends uh, Cro-Mag individuals or prehistoric semi-cross humans that are mutants, and she uh, teams up with them. And I always like when you get this. Oh, this is introducing these characters, and even though they're never seen again, this one's like in my brain's now going, okay, what is the story? What happened to these characters after Vindicator left the Savage Land? What happened? What if there was an apocalyptic event and they survived? Would they rise to the occasion, become the superheroes of a demolished Manhattan? So that's the reason why I picked that book, is because it was like it introduced I think it was like three mutant characters that, like I said, we've never seen them since then. But I'm like kind of like was like I would like to see them. I would not I would I if you even though let's say you did a what if story and the Sentinels decimated all the mutants and they were some of the last ones to survive. That you'd be like, oh wow, who are these characters? I've never seen them before, and then you find out that that they came out in Alpha Flight Annual number 2. I'm like, I never knew this. Oh wow, these are kind of cool characters. Oh wow, look at this. She looks like a pterodactyl, but she flies. Type thing. I mean, she's got the kind of like a beak, but she's got feminine form. I mean, and the one guy is kind of he's like a mini version of the Incredible Hulk now. It's those type of things. So that's the reason why I wanted you guys to have that one. I wanted that one signed. And so after that, we go to in that issue, uh, a Twitter account by the name of AlphaFlight.net. They commented on it, showing off their own copy of Alpha Flight Annual number 2, signed by June. So that was cool. When you get an interaction and you get likes from people from a brand new person, that's kind of cool. So, and then after that was day 8, The Adventures of Captain America, with the embossed cover. Uh, Fabian Nicasia, he wrote it. Kevin McGuire was the artist on it. This was the first time I remember Captain America being shown with. Remember beforehand, he always had that like imply that he kind of had like chainmail armor for his on his torso around his shoulders. And this time, Kevin McGuire actually did little platelets of metal to show that how his armor, how his torso is kind of like gives him that extra added protection as opposed to regular spandex, which was neat and different. So that was the reason why I was like, gotta get it signed. Then of course, issue 259 of the Amazing Spider-Man was it day 9. The reason why I wanted to show you guys this one is this is a very important Spider-Man issue for me. A lot of people are commenting on it because this was the issue where Spider-Man returned to wearing his classic costume and no longer having the black symbiont costume, which was revealed to be sentient in the issue prior to it. This one, the reason why why I got this one signed, I wanted to share it, is because this is the one, because 2 issues prior to this, Mary Jane Watson reveals to Peter Parker, I know your secret. I know you're Spider-Man. And in this issue, Peter Parker and Mary Jane are walking through Central Park. And she is basically giving Peter Parker her origin story, telling him everything about her past and why she puts on such a facade when she's actually very scared and insecure. And that was really important. I would say that issue with her revealing her history to Peter was one of the foundation stones leading towards them eventually getting married. And the reason why it was so important to me was because she was revealing to Spider-Man, the Peter, that hey, I know you're Spider-Man. I'm going to prove to you that you can trust me with your secret by telling you my own deep secrets that I don't tell anybody. And that makes him now. And here's the thing: up until that point, because part of Peter Parker, even though he was very attractive, thanks to how Ramita Jr. or how Ramita drew him. Remember, Peter Parker was always like a geek or a nerd. Okay, he was the perfect example of the Ducky character in Pretty in Pink. By her revealing it and telling him all of her deep secrets, it was basically saying, hey, this is, I trust you never to tell anybody this. So I can prove to you that I will keep your secret. And at that point, because of it, you really see that Peter Parker has ceased to be a John Hughes Ducky character to Mary Jane. And every issue after that, she was written differently. She was now written that if there was a crisis going on, instead of panicking and running for the door, she's now holding the door open, waving people and leading people to safety because she's no longer looking and going, oh my God, Spider-Man's fighting the Rhino. I got to run away. She's now going, Peter's fighting the Rhino. I need to help Peter out by getting these people to safety so he can focus on the Rhino. He doesn't have to focus on all these innocent people. And she changed. I believe that when they made this change to Mary Jane, they changed her as a character, and they made her a stronger character. So, and that's my Mary Jane. This current version that they have of her, Marvel, editor's note, fuck you. Okay, this is Mary Jane. Okay, so and that's the reason why I wanted to. The fact that I spent so much time talking about this issue illustrates why I wanted this, this issue is so important to me, and why it was like this was like one of those essential books that I had to get signed. So after that was day 10, The Amazing Spider-Man 375. I have so many signatures on this one. It was I have like let's see here, Terry Kavanaugh, Patrick Olive, Mark McKenna, Bob Sharon, Tom Smith, and Dave Sharp. Okay, this is now, and I knew this even though Mark McKenna shared it and commented that he had to sign 4,000 copies of this book in 1982 for QVC. Um, I didn't buy it that way. This is my copy that I bought off the shelf at the comic book store, and I've slowly just gone around and gotten different artists on this book to sign it. I know Mark Bagley. He's definitely going to be, if next time he's at Baltimore or at a show that I'm going to be going to. I guarantee you this will be one of those books that I have to have him sign, just because it has so many signatures on it. And again, I look at it and I go, oh, that's so cool that I got so many signatures. I don't look at it and go, oh, this book's going to have some value now. I don't look at it that way. I don't look at it. I just look at it and go, how cool is it to hold that copy in my hands and see all the signatures on it? That's where I kind of like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. So, and so and so the last book, of course, is the book that came out that I posted today, which was day 11, Avengers 200. Um, First time I ever met George was at the Pittsburgh show, and all I had him sign was one book, was my hardbound book, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Um, and at the time, I was like, oh, just have him sign this one book. Didn't realize he's not charging for signatures, and people are coming up with like all these books from the sign. So the next time I saw him, I had about 8 books from the sign. This was one of them. It was one of those words like, it's issue 200 of the Avengers. Everyone having news you signed, it has to be this one. Oh my god, yes! So I had him sign it, and so it's it's one of those books. It was when I this was actually one of the first books that were when I really got into getting books signed. Uh, when he was going to be at a show the following year at Pittsburgh, this was the first book I pulled. Like, oh, I gotta get him to sign this one. So, but so that's the books of the week, guys. So I'll be going on and talking about other stuff uh, tomorrow. But this is the week in review of all the signed books. So, but what do you know? I'm almost done hitting this sleeve with all the hard blacks. So, but you can see how it looks much better, and just it does a much better job of framing her up now. And you can see again, you can see where I've got I put tone in here. I need to add tone here for these three. And then what I also got to do is when I get done here with this video, I need to lean this up against the wall, and I need to go stand at the side of the bar and just stare at it and really get a sense of what needs to be worked on. Where is it where up close, a foot away, foot and a half away, I look at it and go, okay, that looks good, but I need to look at it from like 8 feet away and look at it and see if it really works. Because here's the thing, here's a trick when you're doing artwork, and it's going to be uh, it's a portrait for someone. Okay, you have to step away from it, and you have to look at it from at least 8 to 10 feet away. The reason why is because when it's at someone's home, hanging on their wall, they're not going to be looking at it from a foot away. They're looking at it from like across the room. And most rooms are for like most average house. You're looking at like 8 to 10 to 20 feet away. So I look at it as if you look at it from like 8 feet away, if it's satisfying, then you're good. If not, if something's wonky at 8 feet away, then study it and figure out what's wonky about it, and then fix it. So the last thing you want to do is look at an entire piece from just this far away, a foot and a half, and then go, oh, that looks good. And then you give it to the client, and they're not happy because they're looking at it from across the room, and they're now looking at it from a different perspective than you've been looking at it for me. It'll be like 3 to 4 weeks I've been working on this. Oh, I'll have been working on this before I finish it. So. But that's one of the things I advise you on. That I would even say that goes with comic books too. When you're looking at doing a comic book art, remember you're looking at it from a foot and a half away, but lean up against the wall, walk about 8 feet away, because that you're simulating what it's going to look like when it's been shrunk down. So try it out, guys. I'm sure you'll have very surprising and very enlightening results. So, guys, you all have a great day. You know I'm having a great day. I just posted the Avengers into issue 200 as one of my signed books. You know I'm having a good day. But when you do not have a good day, sadly, as the people in California, none of them are having a good day. Uh, just, guys, my heart and my thoughts and my prayers are with you guys. Um, just take things all one dot at a time, guys. Please. Things will get better. So.